we have mentioned, just to recap, we have gone up to, project scope statement, okay? And this is just a recap. Basically, when we finish our issue analysis and project environment study, we actually know what final product that we are looking at constructing. So we actually express this in a project charter. You see, project charter, project scope statements, they are just an extension of one thing to another thing. It's just that in the beginning, you may produce it at this stage, something brief, something that doesn't give you like more than 3-page or 4-page kind of thing. A description of what you're looking at to build, and maybe the outlook choices, sketches of the outlook, when you're building. So let's say you're doing house renovation, you may want to just sketch like where you want to put your living room now, and then where you're going to put your toilet, bathroom now, like instead of the old location. It's just we call it exploration of idea, in this early stage. It's usually a description of the product, the final product that we're looking at, but a lot of things are not confirmed yet, so we need to further study, you see. It cannot be just straight away. I mean, like, there are some things that are very, very straightforward, but most of the time when we're dealing with a lot of money and a lot of resources, we cannot be that straightforward. There shouldn't be anything that is that straightforward, except for a real necessity, a real issues that can be only solved in a certain ways. Then we probably would go directly from project charter to project scope statement, you see. So it's like a flow, right? So in project charter, we are preparing, it's the extent and the nature of the information, and the time that you use to prepare for this would not be very long, because you're just going to be doing the initial analysis first, and then you start to present them to your client. And this is the part that, when you have it, then you will be you're basically being given authority to look into the issues, you see. So I think that is an indication that the team is given certain authority or thing to is being allocated certain tasks to collect information and carry out some initial investigation. This is like the very initial strategy of what to do to resolve the issues, or to resolve the problem, or to fulfill the needs and demand, the initiation down to project charter. And then from there, when the project charter is ready, now we are moving into scope planning. You see, now we know what is the final product. We want to know what are the components of the final product, and what are the later on will be what are the activities that will contribute to the final product, you see, to construct the final product. And scope planning is basically from the project charter, you've already specified the product, okay? So scope planning, you'll be getting down to more detail to actually split the details. Split the product up into specific components, and put it into a more detailed pictures in a way. I describe it as a more detailed pictures, or more detailed idea, or more detailed strategies, instead of just a bridge. Now you're going to have like what type of bridge, how long will the bridge be, where you may be putting it, and you're actually going to study that in more detail, and each and every one of the component will later on contribute to the scope of work for the project. So this bit here, how do you define this different components, okay? So what we normally do, we will break down the product into several components, and it could be like, it can be a stage breakdown, it can be a project breakdown, it can be a work breakdown. Work breakdown is something that I wouldn't want to use here at this stage. It would be more on a project and a product breakdown, sort of things, rather than a work breakdown. So this is the type, but like I said, different project, different extent, at different stage, we will use these terms differently. So we cannot say that it's fixed, and there's no fixed formula here. this formula can be or, this can be for, this formula can also be an and in between, this or that, or and that, that kind of thing. So we wouldn't want to really fix it in a way, but the framework is there. That's why I would like you all to construct a framework for you to understand. Within that framework, you can have an or, you can have an and, in between them. So this is the primary focus here, is to define the components first, you see. So once you've defined the components, so you can have drawings, you can also have some form of calculations, you can also have some form of work cost breakdown, some form of scheduling attached to it. It's just to give the project a deeper layer of definition. This is like you have a product now, we want to break it down into smaller components and understand each component better. Again, at this stage is for decision making for the client, you see, whether they can actually or they want to actually progress further. At project charter stage, if they want to further this, this will be the next stage that we go into. This is supposed to be the right way. So after you deconstruct your product, you break it down into smaller components and activities, or you can also break it down into the deliverables. What must we deliver, see, in each and every one of the components. Deliverables or components or subcomponents, these are all the words that we use interchangeably. And like I said, you can look into a way we get the expert to do this. Do you have your organization capability to carry out? What is your financial status? What are the cash flow in the organization? What are the costing of the project? What are the scheduling of the project? These are the initial things that we will actually do during the scope definition. You see, the word definition in the initial stage is initiation, and then after that you come up with what product that you want to build, and then you come up with the definition, meaning the deliverables or the subcomponents or the components and subcomponents of the project. And this is the time that you will extend your project charter into a bigger documents called scope statement. And scope statements will describe project objective, what the client wants, how long are they looking at, what are the requirements, and then you're looking at what is the boundaries, what are the constraints, what are the main thing is what are the deliverables, what are the different components that you're looking at deliver. And maybe you will have sketches, you will have ideas being presented in sketch format, in a very preliminary sketch. It may not even be what we call scale drawings, it's just a sketch of how this component should be looking at, what you should be looking at, and all that. And you may also look into a very brief, very quick risk definition of the project, whether it's really whether it's actually doable. And of course, your company's funding, the costing, the scheduling needs to be matched with the capacities and also the funding of the organization. So these are the things that we will be looking at, this is to justify whether to the client why the project is being undertaken and what it looks like, what it will look like, or what will it be, how will we go in towards it, and how the final product may look like, in that sense. But we're going towards that kind of final product, you see, with that sort of components. But things will still change, as we do this thing further on. We may also look at authority requirement. We may also look at whether the land law or the ordinances or the legal part of it actually fulfill all these things that you want to do. So these are the parts that we are looking at. It actually talks about these sort of things, you see.